This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to today's edition of Talk Business and Politics. It was day 3 of the 93rd General Assembly. There was verbal gunfire at the state capitol today as debate began on a Stand Your Ground bill in the Senate Judiciary Committee. SB 24, sponsored by Senator Bob Ballinger, would end the duty to retreat as long as the person is lawfully present, the aggressor is threatening to cause deadly or physical harm, and the person using the force is not the initial aggressor and didn't provoke the situation. A person would not be able to stand their ground without the duty to retreat if it is during criminal or gang activity. In testimony, Senator Ballinger said the bill would be helpful in giving citizens protection from being charged with murder while protecting or defending themselves without the responsibility of trying to flee from the violence. It would give much license to prosecutors to consider whether or not to charge for violent crimes. Senator Stephanie Flowers argued that the bill would disproportionately affect Black communities. She asked about definitions in the measure that she said weren't defined. Senator Jim Hendren asked if there was any case in Arkansas of somebody being prosecuted because they exercised their right to self-defense instead of fleeing or retreating. Ballinger said he didn't know of any in Arkansas, but cited other states where instances occurred. Ballinger and supporters of the bill were swayed by testimony from Tamara Bates, a student at Philander Smith College, who said committee members need to meet with her and hear more from people of color who could be impacted by the bill. In the end, the bill passed out of committee on a 5-2 vote, which was expected, with 5 sponsors of the bill making up the 8-member judiciary panel. This was clearly the big news of the day, as most other committees met to organize for the first time and adopt their rules. And when we come back from this break, Senator Bob Ballinger joins us to talk about what comes next on the Stand Your Ground legislation. Also, it was a historic day in Washington, D.C., as President Donald Trump was impeached for a second time. What did Arkansas's 4 GOP congressmen have to say about that? Find out after this. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Capital Advisors Group and...
You'll find us at the end of a lot of long country roads, covering over 60% of the great state of Arkansas. Our 17 electric distribution cooperatives are working day and night to provide reliable, affordable power to over 500,000 homes, farms, and businesses, just like yours. The Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, your local energy partners.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if you're looking for something more, Walmart has you covered. We provide quality care, no appointment necessary. Whether you're looking for fresh, healthy groceries to fill your prescription, get a flu shot, or pick up your next pair of glasses, we're standing by with in-store health professionals available across the country to offer patient-first, affordable care whenever you need it. Apples, optional.
Joining me now is State Senator Bob Ballinger. He's the lead sponsor on Senate Bill 24, the Stand Your Ground Stand Your Ground bill that was debated in Senate Judiciary Committee today. Senator, first of all, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a busy day. Maybe give you a little recap of how busy the day was for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, we started early, so 9:30 in the morning is when the committee starts, and so I got up here about 6:30 and in order to kind of get prepared. I wanted to make sure I had answers for people who had questions, and I anticipated going long and being somewhat exciting to people who are into that kind of thing. But we're actually blessed that it went pretty smoothly. The thing that would disappoint me from that is that some people sort of went on too long, who kind of wanted to give a bit of a speech, and that then cut into the time of citizens who were coming to speak. And so I don't like that people traveled, and then in the end, because we had to go in session, they ended up getting cut off. So
it did pass out of Senate Judiciary Committee today by a 5-2 vote. Let's talk about one of the people that did testify there that made an impression on you. A citizen showed up named Tamara Bates. She's a student at Philander Smith College. What was it that she said that maybe struck a chord with you?
It wasn't as much as what she said as the fact that how she said it. She was sincere. She wasn't a planned activist. She didn't come in with a speech. She just came in demonstrating her concerns, and primarily her concerns wasn't, she didn't attack the bill with the same kind of talking points that a lot of people do. She said basically, I don't understand this clearly. A lot of people don't, and people don't know how this is going to be applied in their neighborhood. And she challenged us to go out and spend time with people in her neighborhood. And I mean, to me, it was a perfect example of the way citizens get engaged. And actually, she approached me last night. We were out to dinner, and she just happened to see me, recognize me, came over to say hi. She'd spent some time in the Capitol before previously, and knew who I was. Very cordial, very kind, and so therefore very effective.
Was she effective enough to cause you to put the brakes on a little bit and maybe go talk to her in her neighborhood and see what she has to say?
No, I'm happy to talk to her in her neighborhood. I know how the bill will be carried out. 36 other jurisdictions in other states already have it, including places like California, Illinois. It isn't a boogeyman, so I know that it's not. But at the same time, I am happy to spend some time, in her neighborhood meeting, because frankly, there are a lot of legitimate concerns and gripes and complaints that I'm sure folks in her neighborhood have, that things that we should be doing better in the legislature. So I think that's how good government happens, frankly.
Senator Hendren raised an objection today. It was one of the 2 votes against the bill in the committee there that said, he asked if this is a solution in search of a problem, which has been an argument that's been made before. You didn't provide a specific instance, at least in the testimony that I saw, where this has happened in Arkansas, but do you have to rely on other states at this point in time, or can you cite something in Arkansas that this law?
No, so that's people are searching for the wrong kind of problem. The problem is the code itself. So the problem is the law that is ambiguous, that is not being carried out in practice. And if it were being carried out in practice, it would put an onerous restriction on citizens. And so that's the problem. The problem is it isn't necessarily a specific instance. The problem is that there is a code section out there that's ambiguous and not good. That's not the best policy. It's not the best policy to require the victim to have to run away if they think they can run away. The best policy is for the victim to be able to stand and defend themselves. And so so it isn't an instance out there, although I did provide an example of a mom who very well points to stand your ground, not having the absence of stand your ground of running her son's life. But like I said, those facts may be from a mom's perspective, right? And so I don't need to rely on that. What I can rely on is the fact that we have a code section that says if you're victimized, you've got to run away if you can. And that's not good policy. So that's our job as legislators, is to try to shape the code that best protects our citizens, at least in my mind. That's what our job is.
All right, so I'm a pretty good nose counter, and I'm pretty sure you've got the votes to pass this bill on the Senate floor, and then it will go down to the House Judiciary Committee, where Democrats have at least 9 seats on that 20-member committee. Do you think you've got the votes in House Judiciary to get this bill through?
Yeah, I think so. We'll continue to work on it. And one thing, if I can predict anything amongst legislators, they're often not very predictable. So at this point, what we'll do is we're going to spend some time answering questions and helping people. Obviously, there's a lot of confusion out there that some individuals are doing it on purpose, trying to muddy the water. And so we're going to try to address that. But I actually would not be surprised if we don't end up with a Democrat or 2 supporting this legislation. I don't think that it's I think that it's a very reasonable policy. It's been politicized lately, but I think that it will be something that in the end just is better policy for our state.
Well, there's a lot of things that get politicized, Senator Ballinger. I don't think I have to explain that to you.
It's amazing how much politics there are in politics.
Yes. Well, are you open to any changes on this legislation? Do you think that the bill could be improved upon any? Is there, room for changes in your estimation?
And that was one of the complaints from one of the groups, is they don't feel like it goes far enough. And I understand that. The question is whether it's an improvement from current law is really my standard. And what I did is I had to work closely with the Prosecutor Association, with the Sheriff's Association, with the Police Chiefs Association, with the AG's office, and actually over a period of a couple of years, really, since we've introduced the bill last time. And we got a framework that we can get broad agreement on. And so I would say that that's where we're at. If people have other things they want, complaints about, gun-free zones, or complaints about, not going far enough here or there, then they should have somebody else run another bill and address that. In this bill, we've kind of got to the point where we've got a compromise that will pass. And so we're going to work on keeping it the way it is for now.
Last question for you. I want to throw out, I'm going to get your logic on this because I did see this out on social media. I think it came up in the hearing today. You've indicated that there are a lot of other states, 36 other states, that have stand your ground law on the books. Arkansas does not. So we should join those other states to some extent. Does that logic apply to on the hate crimes legislation that I know you have had some problems with? So
the question is, the reason why that's so important that 36 other states have some version of this is it disproves the sky is falling, right? It doesn't prove that it's good policy. Just because other states have it doesn't mean it's good policy. And I've never made that argument. It's good policy because it's good policy. What it proves is that all of the arguments about everything falling apart clearly isn't the case, or else they'd be repealing all the stand your ground statutes in other states, and they're not. So the fact that other states have hate crimes, it probably is something that means that you could put some version of hate crimes out there and be functional, and the sky wouldn't fall. Doesn't mean it's the best policy. It could be a problem. In particular, when you're talking about a time where people are so divided, to create some groups with additional protections, it could be rather a dangerous thing. I've always said that I don't think that I think there is a way to do something you could call hate crimes, where you add additional punishment when one person lashes out on another group because of a hate, right? Because of the group affiliation they're a part of. But if you do that, you need to make it apply to everyone in every situation. And I do think that that's something that at some point we could do. The problem is we have the hate crimes bill out there now that provides specific exemptions in the cases of rape and child molestation, that has created a lot of animosity, that has created a lot of division. And it's just, that piece of legislation makes it even hard for us to talk about anything else, because everyone's already keyed up to fight against it. So maybe later in a special session, maybe next general session, it's something that we'll be able to handle and work on. But right now, things are just so heated and so hard, in particular with this bill, that it'd be hard for us to deal with that.
My job's just to get you on the record. I'm going to let the governor break your arm on that one. So,
well, he's definitely tried before, and he can be persuasive. However, I really feel like it's clear where our constituents stand, and they may be able to be convinced that there's some way to do and punish somebody for lashing out on other groups, but it's going to be really hard to do that right now in this time.
All right, Senator Bob Ballinger, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Roby.
All right, and we'll be back after this word from our sponsors. We'll find out what happened in Congress today in terms of the impeachment of Donald Trump. Talk Business and Politics is sponsored in part by Impact Management Group and
we have a large commitment to our solar for good reason. It lowers customers' rates. It's emissions-free.
Entergy Arkansas is the largest provider of solar in the state of Arkansas.
Utility-scale solar is much more economic for customers. We're going to operate it. We're going to maintain it. We're going to focus on it. That's what we do for a living.
We want to continue to find ways to partner with our customers to meet their renewable energy goals.
Customers want this. We want to provide it. So our commitment is for the long term.
Stepping into the unknown, it can be difficult to find the way. But with the compassion of the cross and the security of the shield, obstacles become openings. As we have for more than 65 years, we'll continue to light the way, using our knowledge to create new healthcare solutions, giving you the power to shine forward to whatever awaits tomorrow. Arkansas Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Live fearless.
President Donald J. Trump made history on Wednesday by becoming the first sitting U.S. president to be impeached twice. The Democratic-controlled Congress passed an article of impeachment on a 232 to 197 vote. The article accuses Trump of high crimes and misdemeanors for his role of an incitement of insurrection, the description for last week's mob attack on the U.S. Capitol. All Democrats voted for impeachment, as did 10 Republicans. All 4 of Arkansas's GOP congressmen opposed impeachment. Here's what each had to say. U.S. Representative Rick Crawford of the 1st District: I do not support this impeachment because rushing and short-circuiting the process of a serious criminal investigation by the House of Representatives would be a risky precedent that could lead to widespread abuse by both parties. Congressman Hill said, a week after the Capitol crisis, instead of leadership, we have more divisive and inherently political brinkmanship. This includes President Trump claiming no responsibility for the toxic rhetorical environment that's directly related to the attacks of January 6th. And Speaker Pelosi's demanding a snap impeachment without reflection or even the full facts that led to the attack, as well as President-elect Joe Biden's notable absence of action following his words calling for unity. I ask, have we not had enough recrimination and divisive rhetoric, fingers pointing, and responsibility not being taken? Representative Steve Womack of the 3rd District: there is no defending the actions of rioters and the leaders who fanned the flames of insurrection. It was a national disgrace. But no option currently presented before the House will remove the president before his term ends on January 20th. The impeachment vote can therefore only serve to inflame tensions and test an already fragile nation. Representative Bruce Westerman of the 4th Congressional District said, I voted against impeaching President Donald J. Trump in the U.S. House of Representatives. Today's rushed process is not in keeping with one of the House's most solemn responsibilities. And you can read their full statements in our story on our website at talkbusiness.net. Check that out. By the way, the impeachment will now go to the U.S. Senate for a trial, but it is anybody's guess as to when that will happen. Well, that is all for today's Talk Business and Politics. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.